For those of you who watched my video on the 100, you will know that I absolutely loathe the 100 competition. For me, it has ripped the heart, the soul out of English cricket. It is a dumbed down version, lowest common denominator version of cricket. It's sad, and it's been done to prop up a financially unsustainable county model, right? Now, look, fair enough. I don't like it. I get there will be some people who do. My take, I think, within the game, it's a source of, and I say within the game, I mean people, guys like me, who actually care about cricket, about county cricket, and who want a balance between red ball and white ball, and who also want England to be successful. The 100 is loathed, and I don't really speak to anybody who has anything positive to say about it. Obviously, you get this spin from the ECB about how great it is, how many new touch points it's reaching, all this sort of commercial jargon. But for me, it's an absolute disaster. And of course, the ironic thing, as I've said before, now it's been bought up mainly by Indian consortiums. It will become a 2020, in my opinion, in the next 4 or 5 years. However, let's leave that aside. I've mentioned that I think the 100 is propping up a financially unstable and unsustainable system. So, given that I believe that, what would I do to reform county cricket, and why there would be no need to have 100? Look, let's get straight to the point. There's too many counties, and it costs the ECB far too much money. The English cricket, since the late 90s, early noughties, has become this giant, it's like a socialist experiment where these counties are living way, 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 way beyond their means, and they're being subsidised by the ECB. And we had problems with Durham. We now have problems with Sussex. Middlesex are in deep trouble. And it's like there's sticking plaster after sticking plaster after sticking plaster. And the biggest plaster of all has been the 100, so that the guys who run in the ECB now can kick the can down the road a few years. But I just see the same problems again repeating themselves in the future. Now, I have to preface this by saying I spent around 10 years of my life playing representative cricket for Derbyshire at various levels, from under 11s up. So what I'm about to say, my dad was treasurer of Derbyshire between 1989 and 1993. It holds a special place in my heart. You can probably tell where I'm going with this conversation. But it gives me I don't relish saying what I'm about to say, but the fact is that there's too many counties, and there's too many hands in the cookie jar, there's too many snouts in the trough, right? It cannot go on like this. There needs to be less counties. We have 18 for a country this size, and for a sport, it's not like Premier League football, right? There's not infinite amounts of money or just ridiculous amounts of money in cricket. Cricket is a relatively popular sport, but it's still a little bit niche. But we cannot have all these counties. So, Derbyshire, Leicestershire, Northants, Worcester, Gloucester, for me, they've got to become minor counties. And they're going to have to live within their means by themselves and almost be feeders, to the major counties. So look, I'll tell you the Derbyshire side I grew up in watching the 90s, right? It was Barnet, Morris, Adams, Cork, Cricken, De Freitas, Devon Malcolm, a really, really good team full of international players. And Derbyshire lived within their means. They had to. There was no other way. Some of those guys, they didn't get paid all year round. They had to go and play state cricket or coach in the winter, or even, get a job in the trades, or whatever it was to top it up, because that was how it was. And Derbyshire had to live within their means. They had one coach, they had a great team, and it was how it was. Now, the game has changed so much in the last 20, 25 years, and really that's a lot to do with the money that's been pumped into it. And look, it's good. You want to get more professional, right? In clubs like Surrey and Notts and Warwickshire, they've gone so far ahead of the smaller counties now. For Derbyshire, they will never. The team I just ran you through, that will never happen again. It will never happen again. And you can say that's maybe a sad thing, and I kind of agree with you on that. But the fact is that all the talented players from places like Derbyshire, Leicestershire, Worcestershire, they'll go to Trent Bridge, right? Stuart Broad, Gurney, Ben Slater, whoever it is, that they're going to find their way to Trent Bridge. If not, Surrey will grab them. If not, Warwickshire will grab them. So the academy setups, the facilities that the bigger clubs have, they're at such a level now that it's never, Derbyshire used to finish second or third in the county championship when I was watching them in the early 90s. That's never going to happen again. Those days, sadly, are gone. But yet here we are, sort of, propping this system up. I went to watch Derby, and I hate to keep picking. I'm not picking on Derbyshire, but I hate to keep using this example. I watched them at Queen's Park in the Chesterfield Cricket Festival last year against Lancashire. They had 8 coaches. I counted 8 coaches. They had Mickey Arthur and 7 other coaches. For a team, yeah, you had Wayne Madsen, who's been a fantastic player and who could have played higher, but none of these guys are going to play international cricket. Yet they have the access to the coaching and the facilities, but it's the cost. One of the coaches, his job was seemingly he held one end of the stretchy thing and he helped the bowlers loosen up before sessions. That seemed to be his job. But they have 7 other coaches and they were sat around on their phones, whatever it was. And this is where the money's going. From the big test days, we fill our test match grounds in England. Test match cricket is still the most popular form, and it brings in the big revenue. And all the commercial deals, the players, we get off the back of guys like Stokes and Root and Brook. And that's where the money comes from. But at some point, it's a finite amount of money, and it cannot sustain this larger ecosystem of counties. And it's got to such a point where the ECB has gone to such lengths that they've created another competition that lasts for 20 minutes less than a 2020 game, sold it off. So they've sold off a huge amount of English cricket, and it's for a one-time payment. Derbyshire are going to get £24 million from the 100. What happens when that's gone? Somebody explain that to me. I cannot understand what happens next. What are the ECB going to try and sell after that to try and I just really, really worry about the future of the game, because the game's going to go into these consortiums, mainly Indian but also US consortiums, and I can tell you what they'll do. They'll make them into 2020 franchises, which is what the ECB should have done in the first place, but failed to do so. We set up, we invented 2020 cricket in the early 2000s, and then they sat back. They didn't understand the commercial value of it, the commercial aspect. So they sat back and watched India and then the Big Bash in Australia, and everybody monetize their 2020 game with a small amount of teams, 6 states or a small amount of franchise teams, and made a huge amount of money out of it. We kind of treated it as a bit more of a hit and giggle for a longer period of time, and then you roll it out, and they all the counties have their little T20 nights. But there should be 8 to 10 counties. That should be it. Say there's 10, you have 2 teams of 5 for the county championship. Really strong, really competitive cricket, and then you can have plenty of cricket in the middle of the summer, the red ball cricket, when it has to be. If we want to replicate what test match cricket, we want guys to be ready for test match cricket, we have to play when the weather is hot, the pitches are hard, the fast bowlers need to bowl fast and work out how to get wickets on flat pitches. The pitches should be dry and wet, and they'll spin. And this is when we should be playing red ball cricket. And with a reformed system, we can do that. You can have a block for 2020 in the kids' summer holidays and still have red ball cricket with a reduced county system. Also, the one thing that nobody really talks about is the domestic 50-over competition. Is it any wonder we were a shambles in our 2023 World Cup defence? We got absolutely humiliated. And is it any wonder you look at the 50-over competition and it is a farce? It's a second team / older pros in the last year of their contract competition. It's just got full of kids. and guys who aren't going to play in any some form of franchise cricket. It's an embarrassment, and it's no wonder we're so poor at our 50 over cricket and it's slid so far. We tried to get by off the fumes of the Morgan team, and we came up well short. But where are the guys like Jason Roy, Hales back in the day? They were playing in a competitive 50 over competition in the middle of the summer on good pitches, which is as good as you're going to get in terms of replicating international cricket. Who the hell are we going to pick from our 50 over competition now to come and revitalise the England team? You tell me. I have no idea. No idea. And everything has been sacrificed for the 100 competition. And they're destroying the game in the meantime. It's really sad. It really pisses me off what's happened. I cast my mind back to when it got announced. When it got announced, we were already at the stage where there was too much cricket. So it was like a hamster wheel for the players. They were going from one format to the next, in their cars, travelling overnight, on buses. You know, nothing special. Nothing gets really well prepared for. You get there, you know, you have to do it. You play the game, and you move on to the next game. And then, so what do the ECB do? They create another format. So now we have 4 formats. It's ridiculous. The premises of it is ridiculous. We've seen in the last year or two more murmurings, more whisperings from the players about travel and schedule. You know, these guys are openly saying, "Look, we are playing. We're finishing here. We're driving overnight. We're absolutely knackered. We're all sharing lifts, and something, you know, there will be." If something bad's going to happen if this goes on. This cannot go on. It's not good for player welfare. It's not good for the standard of the game. It's not good for the red ball cricket. It's not good for the core of supporters who the ECB don't give a shit about, by the way. They do not care about people like me, people like you, people who care about the game, who want to see, who understand that 2020 has been a good thing, but also understand that there can be balance. And this can't go on. And I get it's a tough conversation with regards to like Derbyshire, Leicestershire, Northampton, those sort of counties. But nobody seems to want to have that conversation. Can they have that conversation? Did they have that conversation? They had the Strauss review. Is it possible to sort of relegate some counties to minor counties cricket? I mean, obviously there'll be some sort of constitution or whatever it is, governing that all the counties will be signed up to. I guess there would be a lot to unpick in there, and that may be tricky. And I get why counties like Derbyshire won't want to hear what somebody like me is saying about it. But I'm trying to look at the bigger picture and the future, post, when this money runs out in 4 or 5 years' time, and post the TV deal on the 100, I really think will have lost a huge amount of control of county cricket. The 100 will become a franchise, and I don't know. Counties' hands may get forced. I don't know. Do these US and Indian consortiums really care about giving money to Derbyshire and Leicestershire? I suspect that would be the last thing on their minds, because they're here for commercial gain as well, right? And look, it's a tough subject, and as I said, I do not relish saying what I have said, especially about Derbyshire. It holds a special place in my heart. I thoroughly enjoyed my time playing representative cricket. I made great friendships which I still hold now. I've travelled all around the country playing cricket, and it was great, but it's not sustainable. It's not workable. And in order to foster a game going forward which can have a balance of something that everyone wants to see, for me, the only way forward is a system of 10 counties maximum. But yeah, I really worry for the future of the game. Anyway, enough from me. I've really ranted on that one, and it's a topic close to my heart. But look, next one, we're nearly here, international summer. So in the coming videos, we'll be talking more about England selection.